As the world moves deeper into the third decade of the 21st century, one question continues to dominate global security discussions. How long can Russia sustain its war effort, and at what cost? For more than 2 years, the conflict in Ukraine has reshaped geopolitics, strained alliances, and tested the limits of military power. But as 2026 approaches, a growing number of analysts, defense experts, and intelligence assessments suggest that Russia's military may be heading toward a breaking point. This is not about a single battle, a single offensive, or a single decision. This is about structural weakness, long-term attrition, and strategic exhaustion. Tonight, we take a deep look at why some believe Russia's military could face collapse in 2026 and what that could mean for Vladimir Putin, for Ukraine, and for the global balance of power. Part 1. The war that changed everything. When Russian forces crossed into Ukraine in February 2022, the Kremlin expected a swift victory. The plan relied on speed, shock, and overwhelming force. Instead, Russia encountered fierce resistance, logistical failures, and a Ukrainian military far more capable than anticipated. What was supposed to be a short campaign turned into a prolonged war of attrition. This shift fundamentally altered Russia's strategic position. Wars of attrition do not reward size alone. They punish inefficiency, corruption, and weak logistics. From that moment on, Russia's military was no longer fighting for victory alone. It was fighting for survival. Part 2. Manpower crisis and human cost. One of the most serious challenges facing Russia is manpower. Independent estimates suggest that Russia has suffered hundreds of thousands of casualties, killed, wounded, or permanently removed from combat effectiveness. Even conservative assessments acknowledge losses at a scale unseen since World War II. To compensate, Moscow has relied on partial mobilizations, contract soldiers, prison recruitment, older reservists. Each of these measures has come at a cost. Mobilization created domestic anxiety and resistance. Training standards dropped. Units were rushed to the front with minimal preparation. A modern military cannot function effectively when experience is constantly replaced by raw, undertrained manpower. By 2026, this gap between losses and quality replacement could become impossible to bridge. Part 3. Equipment losses and industrial strain. Russia entered the war with massive stockpiles of tanks, artillery, and armored vehicles, but quantity does not equal sustainability. Thousands of tanks and armored vehicles have been destroyed or damaged. Precision-guided munitions have been expended faster than they can be replaced. Aircraft losses, while smaller, remain strategically significant. Russia's defense industry is now operating under international sanctions, restricted access to advanced electronics, limited high-tech manufacturing capacity. To keep pace, factories have reopened Cold War-era production lines. Older tanks are being refurbished and sent back to the battlefield. This approach buys time, but not strength. By 2026, analysts warn that Russia may face a military equipped for yesterday's wars, not tomorrow's conflicts. Part 4. Economic pressure and war fatigue. Wars are not won by armies alone. They are sustained by economies. While Russia has avoided immediate economic collapse, the long-term pressure is undeniable. Sanctions have reduced energy revenue margins, cut access to Western technology, increased dependence on limited trading partners. Military spending continues to rise, diverting resources from civilian infrastructure, healthcare, and development. Over time, this creates internal strain, inflation pressures, labor shortages, declining living standards. By 2026, maintaining a war economy at this scale may require deeper sacrifices, testing public tolerance and elite loyalty. Part 5. Command structure and leadership problems. Another major issue is leadership. The Russian military has gone through frequent command changes, public dismissals, and internal power struggles. The Wagner Group rebellion in 2023 exposed cracks within Russia's security apparatus. Even though the immediate threat was neutralized, the message was clear: loyalty within the system is not guaranteed. A military cannot function effectively when command authority is questioned, political loyalty outweighs competence, and fear replaces initiative. By 2026, these leadership weaknesses could erode Russia's ability to coordinate large-scale operations. Part 6. Ukraine's adaptation and Western support. While Russia faces strain, Ukraine has demonstrated adaptability. Despite fewer resources, Ukraine has integrated Western intelligence, adopted flexible command structures, developed effective drone and counter-artillery tactics. Western military aid, while inconsistent, has provided Ukraine with advanced air defense, precision weapons, training, and logistics support. This has prevented Russia from achieving decisive breakthroughs. If Western support continues at even moderate levels, Russia may find itself unable to shift the strategic balance by 2026. Part 7. Information war and perception. Wars are fought not just on battlefields, but in perception. Inside Russia, state media maintains the image of strength and inevitability. Outside Russia, global narratives increasingly frame the conflict as a long-term drain on Moscow's power. Perception matters because allies reassess commitment, rivals adjust strategy, domestic elites calculate risk. If belief in victory fades, systems built on centralized authority can unravel faster than expected. Part 8. What collapse really means. A military collapse does not necessarily mean total defeat or regime overthrow. In this context, collapse could mean inability to conduct large-scale offensives, loss of strategic initiative, increased internal instability. By 2026, Russia could still possess nuclear deterrence and regional power, but its conventional military influence may be severely diminished. Part 9. Implications for Putin. For Vladimir Putin, the military has always been central to legitimacy. A weakened military challenges his image as a strong leader, his control over elites, his narrative of restoring Russian greatness. History shows that prolonged wars often reshape leadership, sometimes gradually, sometimes suddenly. Whether Putin remains in power or not, 2026 could mark the end of Russia's ability to project conventional military dominance at scale. Part 10. Global consequences. A Russian military decline would reshape global security. Potential outcomes include increased instability along Russia's borders, shifts in NATO posture, changes in China-Russia dynamics, and new regional power calculations. The world would not necessarily become safer, but it would become different. Conclusion. The question is not whether Russia can continue fighting tomorrow. It is whether it can sustain this war indefinitely. Manpower shortages, industrial strain, economic pressure, leadership challenges, strategic exhaustion. All signs point toward a critical moment approaching. By 2026, Russia's military may still exist, but it may no longer be able to dominate, intimidate, or expand in the way it once did. History reminds us that great powers rarely fall in a single moment. They weaken slowly until, suddenly, they don't recover. And that is why analysts are watching 2026 so closely.